Now at 6, thousands kick off the month of May, marching in protest against the federal government.
We need to show the ruling powers that exploit us that we're not backing down.
Plus, the budget woes that could force one county to get rid of its emergency planning department.
Having that as a loss is going to be less than desirable for our community.
Also, it's a scam only getting more sophisticated as artificial intelligence improves.
It's really hard to kind of get your head around how quickly it is improving.
And decades later, a man's name is finally cleared after he spent time in prison for a crime he didn't commit.
After 35 years, I proved what I stated since the beginning.
But first, our top story tonight here at 6, thousands of people gathered in downtown Portland as part of national May Day rallies. Among other things, they're calling attention to the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Our John Adams joins us now live from a second gathering just getting started. John, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Christine, we are at Elizabeth Carruthers Park in Portland's South Waterfront, where people are slowly filtering in for an event that's scheduled to start about now that will ultimately have folks march down toward Portland's ICE facility, which is just a couple blocks away from here. Earlier today, we covered another large march that had thousands of participants that started at the South Park blocks and looped a couple times around Portland's downtown. Earlier today, I spoke with a number of people who came out to support workers' rights and to protest issues like the Trump administration's deportation efforts. We also saw some skirmishes earlier today involving counter-protesters. At one point, it appeared pepper spray was used by someone involved in that altercation. Portland police were there on scene and quickly de-escalated that situation. But for the most part, the march was peaceful earlier today, as those in attendance call this an important day to remember the workers of the country.
May Day is all about raising awareness and trying to help improve rights for workers.
Because we need to show the ruling powers that exploit us that we're not backing down and that they can't just continue to trample on our rights.
Again, people filtering into Elizabeth Carruthers Park for this event, which will end up having people march toward Portland's ICE facility. We will have a crew down there later this evening and have updates throughout the evening. Christine?
John Adams reporting live from downtown Portland. Thank you, John. Meantime, 8 people were arrested this morning following a sit-in protest at the Porter Hotel in downtown Portland. The protesters were connected with the group Sunrise PDX. They say they were protesting immigration officials who they say were staying at the hotel. In a statement, the hotel did not answer whether DHS officials are in fact staying here, but said protests are not allowed on their property. The protesters were charged with criminal trespass. Police say they were arrested without incident. Staying downtown for a traffic alert now. A sinkhole has opened up near Southwest Alder and 2nd Street. Our KGW crew there reports the hole is about 3 feet by 2 feet. Portland Police and PBOT are handling the issue. No word yet, though, on what it will take to fix it. But if you're in that area, be cautious. Taking a live look now where we are seeing cooler temperatures compared to yesterday anyway, but we've got a big warm up coming on Sunday. A good place to be outside right now is Waterfront Park, where we find Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino, who's having some fun at the Cinco de Mayo fiesta happening this weekend. Matt, what you up to now?
Hey, Christine, we found a rock star. And I mean, I know you're a rock star, so we're always happy to show you, but that's the rock star. There's nobody, it's not moving right now, but they're loading it. There's about 4 or 5 kids, and when that thing goes, it goes. So yes, we have moved on to the ride section. Off in the distance, you can see the zipper, and the zipper is zipping around, and that's where all the screaming is coming from. You guys probably can't hear that, but trust me, they're screaming on the zipper right now. So the Rockstar, the zipper, we've got the games and the rides down here. We showed you the food and the lowriders. There's just a whole lot of fun to be had down here. It's really a pleasant experience, and it's a very pleasant evening because the sun is going behind the buildings. The shadows are getting long. In fact, let's switch to our Wells Fargo Skycam and the view of downtown Portland, Waterfront Park, and the Willamette River. It is in Portland right now in the 70s. That's where we topped out at after making it into the 80s yesterday for the first time this year. So again, it is beautiful. We're down to 72 right now. Just a fantastic evening if you want to come on down. But this isn't your only opportunity. Tomorrow will be a great day. We start out cloudy, we end up sunny. We'll get up to about 76. Then it gets hot, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later on Sunday. But this Cinco de Mayo is the longest one we've ever had. It runs for 5 days, from today the 1st through the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. So you have several opportunities to come on down, and Sunday's really the only hot day. And I learned earlier, Christine, that this is the largest Cinco de Mayo celebration in the country. So a lot to be proud of down here. And there goes the rock star, Christine, zipping around. I think you should come down and do that. I know you love these things.
You know, I love these things. The Cinco de Mayo Fiesta, an awesome event, but also I'm not huge on rides. Like that zipper in the background, don't love it, but I know a whole lot of people do.
I tell you what, if you come down, I'll buy you a milkshake and a hot dog that you can eat before you go on the ride.
Or I'll just eat it and not go on a ride. Thanks, Matt. We'll check in with you later.
Yeah, you bet.
In your headlines, one person was seriously hurt in a shooting just before noon today in downtown Portland. It happened near Southwest 1st and Ankeny. Investigators say the suspect or suspects ran off. Police did detain one person for questioning, but they turned out to not be involved in the shooting. And to Clackamas County now, where Oregon State Police have identified the person killed in a crash Monday evening. It happened just after 7 on Highway 99E near Canby. OSP says an SUV going south on 99E blew through a stoplight at South Barlow Road and hit the driver's side of a truck that was turning onto 99E. A passenger in the SUV, 71-year-old Sharon Prentice, died at the scene. 7 others were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. And a police chase ended in a crash on I-205 late last night. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office says it started after the suspect nearly hit a deputy's patrol car and several other cars near Southeast Grand and Harrison. The chase then got onto I-205, and deputies say the driver, Casey Padula, crashed into a pickup right before the Stark Street exit. Padula was booked on charges including hit and run. The pickup driver was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. First responders in Beaverton were busy this morning after 2 homes caught fire within a short time of each other. Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue was called to the Seminole Estates on Southwest 195th Avenue, where a manufactured home was on fire. They shared a couple photos of that one. But just about 10 minutes earlier, they responded to a house fire on Southwest Saddlebrook Court. Both fires are currently under investigation. And at Laurelhurst Park, a small group of students from Grant High School held a rally supporting teachers and education. They're upset the district cut school days, including today, as part of budget cuts and teacher furlough days. This was the first of 4 days teachers are being furloughed. It's part of a $14 million budget cut.
I think that is unacceptable, and we wanted to show up in support that this day, even though they can cut it from our school year, we won't stay silent at home just accepting this.
Over the next 2 school years, the district faces an additional $121 million in budget cuts. There are still 3 more canceled school days before the end of the year on June 5th. Proposed budget cuts in Columbia County are leading to layoffs, and it could mean the closure of a critical department. Our Celine Stevens is live in St. Helens for us this evening. Celine, the county's emergency management team could be impacted here.
Christine, that's right. And this is the department that helps, develop emergency plans and coordinate responses during those emergencies like flooding and wildfire. But the proposed budget for the next fiscal year reveals that the department would be dissolved, and that could lead to some real risks here in the community.
Emergency management is not just a title.
But the Columbia County Emergency Management Department may be at risk thanks to proposed budget cuts. The impact of these cuts includes positions throughout the county, as mentioned during public comment in the last budget committee meeting.
The proposed budget starts with 15 furlough days and the elimination of 7 positions.
The possible impact to the county's emergency management department is what's causing concern for some.
So how are you going to eliminate a state required position? That just doesn't make any sense, especially knowing the history of Columbia County and how many presidentially declared disasters we've had.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good thing to cut back money on fire and safety and things like that.
Jeff Pritcher, fire chief of the Scappoose Fire District, explains some of those layoffs will be the director of the department as well as the county's spokesperson.
If we're not able to validate information as it needs to be shared or correct misinformation as it's being applied, when we do have those big emergencies, all sorts of bad things can happen.
Another source telling KGW that while it appears the department would be dissolved under the current proposed budget to meet state-mandated requirements, the responsibility would be reassigned to other departments like the Sheriff's Office or Public Health.
Our Sheriff's Department and our Public Health Agency doesn't have the depth at this time. And if you don't have somebody that truly understands that environment or has built up those relationships, you can set yourself back in ways that can hurt a community or the county financially.
State law requires counties to maintain an emergency management capacity, but they don't regulate the structure. According to the Oregon Department of Emergency Management, the county would not be out of compliance as long as they continue to meet statutory requirements.
As a partner entity, I think all of us would be best served in our county if it was more of a collaborative approach as opposed to we're going to try and do this on our own and tell you what we think is best.
So I did reach out to the county for more information about all this, but they declined to comment. The Budget Committee will be voting on this proposed budget next Thursday. Christine?
Celine Stevens reporting live from St. Helens. Thank you, Celine.
They knew they didn't have an evidence, but they just want to have somebody for that murder.
After decades of waiting for justice to be served, Oregon is compensating a man who was wrongfully imprisoned for murder. Santiago Ventura Morales was sentenced to life in prison back in 86 when he was 18 years old. He was exonerated 5 years later after witnesses said law enforcement pressured them to put the blame on him. But in the 35 years since, he was never compensated for the time spent in prison for a crime he did not commit.
Well, even though I was released, they still was not clear. They just said they didn't have enough evidence to prove or to retry the case. But now, finally, that is gone. My name is clear.
Ventura Morales is just the third exoneree in Oregon to get a certificate of innocence. With that, he gets compensated for each year served, plus services like counseling and legal assistance.